Hi everyone, welcome to GoodVision's webinar. It's been a while since we we discussed or we was looking at doing another webinar. So we've got a very special guest joining us today. We wanted to give everybody a view from the perspective of a user of the GoodVision platform. So we've been working for a long time with our guest, which is Gerhard. He's part of the GEST company. He's going to introduce himself and tell you all about him and the company. Just a couple of things during the call, or the webinar, should I say. We'll have a Q&A at the end. So if you've got any questions that you want to ask, you can use the Q&A button on the webinar. So if you've got any questions, you can send them to us. We'll either answer them during or at the end of the webinar. So feel free. And also, if you're brave enough and you want to ask a live question, you can ask us as well, and we'll answer it for you. So let's move into the webinar, and let me hand it over to Gerhard, and hope everyone has a great webinar.
Thanks, Christopher, for the introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Gerhard Strohofer. I'm the founder and the CEO of GEST GmbH, and we are a company located in Linz in Upper Austria. For my profession, I studied landscape architecture at the University of Natural Resources and Applied Life Science in Vienna. And beside that, I studied 4 semesters of space and design strategies at the University of Arts in Linz. So my main skills are landscape architecture and urban planning and traffic planning. So since 2014, I moved more to the field of traffic planning, and combine my background with modern techniques and the field of traffic planning. And I was always very interested in exploring how to use software in planning processes. For instance, for my master thesis, I used RealFlow, which is a particle and fluid simulation program for try to understand the impact of different building locations on the surroundings. So I was always very exploring.
Always into technology like this.
Yeah.
So I guess that comes into a question of mine now, that how did you get to discover GoodVision, and what drawed you to use the platform?
We always have of course have to deal with traffic counting and traffic volume and getting data in different projects, which always was done analog and by hand, so to say, which causes, of course, different kind of problems, and the quality of the data is, of course, concerning to the motivation of the people who are counting. So the digital ability and the solution that GoodVision is offering was like when I found it was very impressive, and opened up totally new ways of how we can achieve quality of data collection for our projects.
Okay, and I know you've got some other slides, or there's some slides you want to share as we go through. But as well, what would be, you would say, maybe one of the key features that's helped you from how you were doing things in the past, or just one of the kind of key factors that GoodVision's really assisted you with?
So the first project I was dealing with GoodVision was when I famous supermarket brand came up to me and asked if we can like do monitoring for their parking lots, and they wanted to know how many people are using the parking garages and how many of their customers are parking outside, and they wanted to monitor their parking space for 1 week. And they asked me if I can do 9 of their supermarkets parallel, and from Vienna to the west of Austria to Tyrol. So they wanted to monitor like locations all over Austria, and this should take place in 1 week. So it was almost impossible to do this by manual counting, because we would need a lot of people, and like of course we need them all over Austria. So to come up with a digital solution and be able to like monitor and capture footage for 1 week, and then do the analysis with the cloud platform. This was our first project, what we started by using
Okay.
GoodVision. And your
Brilliant.
former colleague Peter Hayduk, he introduced me to the requirements, and we had a couple of weeks for doing the setup, and that I could configure my mobile setup with camera and hardware requirements. And then we shared some videos and just did some proof of concepts, and we could figure out a running system in a couple of weeks, and we were ready to go. And we did a great survey with really impressive quality output for our customer, because the interesting thing was like we monitored this 9 different locations, but the amount of the percentage of used parking slots, the difference between outside and the parking garages was the same. So that was really impressive. So
Brilliant. Well, like you say, I think you've got some slides to go through and show us some more kind of detailed, especially with your projects that you worked on, and that's basically what Gerhard's going to show us on how he utilized the GoodVision platform with your project that you had. So I'll let you carry on, Gerhard. I've probably got some more questions. If we get any questions coming through as well, I'll ask from people. But just to let everyone know, this is kind of like how the webinar will go. We'll have some questions, and we can answer them during the call. So take it away, Gerhard. So if you go through your slides, and if I've got some questions, I'll ask.
Yeah, so what I want to show you today is like how we are using GoodVision in really in a planning process. Just to like, of course, GoodVision is a great platform to collect data, but we also understand it like a tool for planning process, to even like send some questions to the GoodVision platform, collect data with it, and even get better answers or a better quality of outputs, what we can then implement in our planning process, and be able to get the best results for our customers. So the project I want to show you today was a project for the University Hospital in the city of Linz. I'm working for them now for 5 years. It started 5 years ago, and they have now the next they want to build a new children's hospital. So they have some kind of extension on the area, and this was done for in a architectural competition. And our tasks was we had to make a feasibility study for the new extension, and create a new working scenario, and build some kind of base for the architectural competition. So our project was like, evaluate all that stuff that needs to be figured out with the new configuration. And then our planning process was like, build it some kind of base for the architectural competition. And then I was like some kind of consultant for the field of the traffic planning in the jury. So just a technical consultant, and I had to approve and evaluate the committed projects. Now it's I will show you the project that we have done. So we started with some questions and some problems that are now taking place on the area. On the right side, you see the area. I don't know. Do you see the mouse, Christopher?
Yeah. I can see.
So one main problem is in this roundabout. There is a ramp for the emergency vehicles that goes in the basement. So they have a few parking lots down in the basement, but they are not enough. So for the extension, our customer wanted to know how many parking lots do we have to extend that, because now it's they have some kind of traffic jams on the ramp because of the lacking amount of parking lots. And the second questions, what they had is now they have some different logistic areas all over the area, so it's pretty decentralized, and they want to merge all this stuff together and build a new logistic some kind of headquarter at the top of the area. So this was another point of view that we have to, we already knew that we have to deal this with data collection and use GoodVision to tell them what is going around all over the area. And the third main point was for the new scenario, we have to do a pre-approval with the government of the city of Linz. And so we have to take a look at the public streets, the traffic volume, what is there, the capacity problems maybe caused by the new scenario. So these were the three top tasks that we had to deal with. And so we used our mobile setup, which we can monitor 4 to 5 days, recording footage, and then use the GoodVision Insight platform, the cloud processing, to analyze the data. And I will show you the 6 scenes that we did. So on the top left, you see the main intersection of the hospital area. The middle is the main portal. The right one is the roundabout where the emergency vehicles are entering the basement. The left corner is one of the decentralized logistic areas where the kitchen warehouse is located now at the moment. The middle on the downside is another public intersection where the parking garage for the employees is now attached. And the lower right corner shows the scene of the now main entrance for the logistic movements at the moment.
Did you, Gerhard, when you were using the system and getting this visual data, did it help you identify anything new or something maybe you didn't foresee, or was there something that, without having the visual, you wouldn't have picked up in traditional kind of methods?
Yeah, let's skip. I just go back one slide because these were the 3 questions that we were dealing at the beginning. And when we did the scene setups, we saw a lot of more concerning things that we have to deal with in the planning process, because as a side story, the first three scenes at the top, they were done at the first day of lockdown in November 21. So we had a special scenario on the public street, because there were only 30% of the estimated volume left. So 70%, because of the lockdown, was gone of the traffic. But we had 120% of the estimated volume around the hospital area. So this was like, pretty impressive, like to see the effects of the lockdown, because it was first day, it was a Monday. So we had like, okay, we just saw the effects real time with the collected data. And we then had some additional output, because if you see or take a look at the middle screen at the top, there is the main entrance to the hospital, where you see a lot of pedestrians going to the entrance, because all the side entrances were closed during the whole pandemic. So everyone has to be registered at the main entrance and has to pass through the main entrance. So what we saw is like we had some really, like, let's say, conflicts, because of the big amount of pedestrians in front of the portal and the moving cars, because we have like 1,500 cars passing by the main entrance, which is pretty high rate for, like, it should be more open space for pedestrians than for cars. So we had to take this into the planning process. And
you mentioned the conflict basically between vehicles and pedestrians, in the sense of the volumes that were on site. Yeah,
because we saw that people are waiting outside here, and we had some hop on, hop off traffic, and it was just like pretty confusing movements in this area. And what the next pretty interesting scene was the lower right scene, because you also see that there are a lot of pedestrians on the sidewalk, and we don't see the bus stop here, but on the right side there is a bus stop, and we like saw that every 5-6 minutes a bus is coming. Of course, we have a lot of pedestrians heading to the area, and then we have like this collision with entering vehicles and entering trucks for the warehouse there. So this was like, they already, like every second or third bus which was incoming, we had like collision by crossing pedestrians and entering vehicles, and they blocked the lane. So it causes some traffic jam, or the lane was blocked for some seconds. So we really didn't figure it out before we did the analysis, because we didn't sit out there for hours and watched the scenario, but we all get this data out of the Insight platform. So I just
I've got a question as well for you, Gerhard, that can kind of cover what you're talking about with this project as well. So someone's asked us, how did you evaluate the GoodVision system for your project? So I know you have these points that you mentioned that were the KPIs of the project. How did you how did you decide that GoodVision would be able to, one, work for you in this scenario or this project, but also how did you evaluate that this, the data that we're giving you is exactly what you need?
So we basically we just put the camera in good perspective, so that we have the best outcome for like just to figure out what we want to see, and what we see is like what we get from GoodVision. So the scene preparation and choosing the perspective is like the first really important thing to set up the scene, because if you don't have a good perspective and the point of view, the best software cannot give you the data that you want.
The other thing as well, probably to answer that question a bit more, is that Gerhard's worked with us for quite some time. So when we first started working, there was an evaluation period of basically we take some video footage and we do a manual account versus the data that is provided by the system. So at the very start of our relationship, there was a lot of validation of footage and so on. And then, these days, I'm kind of proud that, probably Gerhard, you don't need to do so much validation in the data in a sense of we're providing, because it's what you trust and what is provided through the system. As well, through the GoodVision point of view, you can play back video footage and you can actually validate these conflicts, as Gerhard has mentioned, when you've got these potential blocking of vehicles. The system can easily detect areas that are, stopped vehicles. We can pinpoint that specific point, and you can even play back video of that scenario to validate that that is actually what's happening. So from a system point of view, from GoodVision, we're able to help Gerhard identify specific points of interest that he wants to look at, and that's how he validates our use of the system. So hopefully that answered the question from the user here.
Let me see if I can draw an area. Yeah, it looks it's not filled, but in this case we will like draw a zone and just to see how many vehicles stopped in this zone. So just create an event, and GoodVision will give you the data with a timestamp, and you have like you can see how often and in which period of time vehicles, pedestrians, every object class that is stopped in this area, and this is how we got the data. So this is usually how you extract or collect the data if it's concerning stopped vehicles, for instance.
Exactly. So for anyone that hasn't probably on here that hasn't used GoodVision, as Gerhard's just shown you there, he's drawn a zone, and this is what it's exactly like from the platform point of view. So you'll see what Gerhard has here in the platform with all the trajectories, and then you're able to select or pinpoint areas of interest. You can see actually in the top right image, there's a kind of a zone here from the system. So that's like a zone that's been placed from Gerhard's side, because he's looking at some information between the vehicles and pedestrians that are moving in that. And from that zone, you can produce a vehicle list, we take to call it a vehicle list, but object list, I guess, because there will be, the list of objects that pass that zone or stopped in that zone, giving you the times of entry and exit. So it's very easy to pinpoint when certain things are happening, and then also isolate it in the video and have a look at that information. As Gerhard's mentioned, GoodVision is really around a tool set, an investigation tool set, I would say, for engineers and people exactly that are looking, as Gerhard, at these kind of projects, that you can discover absolutely, new things that wasn't even probably thought of as a problem at the beginning. And the only way you can do that is visually identifying and proving this to other key stakeholders in the project. So if you're able to take, the video or screenshot or present the information visually, it's a lot more powerful, I guess. You'll kind of agree with that, Gerhard.
Yeah.
More powerful to show people the exact problem than just show them a number and it's like, okay, but that number could be anything. But you can actually back that up with your video or even a snapshot from the scene.
So The scene on the top right is cut off a little bit, but you see a small area like heading out here, because the same way we did it for the emergency vehicles. So we also like tried to get an feeling how often emergency vehicles really stopped on the ramp, and yeah, how many additional parking lots we really need. So we could like count or get some opacity rate out of our survey, because you see this line here. So we counted the incoming vehicles and the outgoing vehicles, and so we always had some kind of occupancy rate, and then created some kind of scenarios with maximum values where we like, okay, if we add, for instance, 10 additional parking lots, we don't have a problem anymore. So this was very interesting.
Traditionally, like, how would you go about getting that data if you wasn't using GoodVision? How would have you done that? Do you have to manually sit there and watch the video? Do you have to have someone on site, or I guess
build up
the
a tent and sit there for 24 hours, because we did a monitoring for 24 hours. So yeah, we, of course, you need at least 3 people to do this manually, and then you can only like count one lane, because the roundabout with 8 vehicle classes, pedestrians, cyclists, you won't be able to do this. So you need a lot of manpower, and then you have it like you just have paper. So you have to do a whole post-production, and
exactly. I guess you can only get so much data from a person there, or even watching the video. But as you said, when you've got the system capabilities with the average time spent there, or occupancy times, you can easily quickly get that information straight away after you have the footage, without having some mathematician sitting there.
Probably. And it's not very cost efficient. Of course.
Yeah, exactly. But by hour, you can get that instantly, because as it's processed, it's reusable data.
Yeah.
So even now, the key thing here is you can still go back to this, these scenes, and you could actually still reuse the data and make more measurements, and make more kind of scenarios, if you wish.
Of course.
Because I think as well, which you'll get as we go through this a bit further, is the steps, and also the kind of, not the ends, but there'll probably be also a measurement of the after project. So once everything is done, this is where you'll be able to kind of look and make sure it's successful. So this is the data collection part that I know that you're going through.
I don't know. Yeah, and this is like the output. So these are the traffic exports from. It's just in German now, but this is like what you get from the traffic reports out of the GoodVision Insight. And we then like did some calculation, some scenario creation, like merged some collected data together. And on the left side, you see some kind of capacity calculation, where you see this red. It's a ja in German, which means yes, and it's just a calculation for the public street if we need an additional lane for the left turns in the new scenario. So this was like one of the first outputs that we knew that we have to deal with in the planning process, that we have to like implement a new additional lane for the left turns because of lacking of the capacity. So, and as you said before, these numbers, if you present them, they are not like as spectacular as if we go back, if you have some visual output. So having the visual output and the mathematical output, and this merged together, it's always a very nice way to present the results to the customer.
Brilliant.
So this was like the conclusion for the whole 6 scenarios. I will just erase the rectangles. So as I already mentioned, on the left side, we have this conflict between crossing pedestrians and turning cars and trucks, which are using this intersection to come onto the area. So this lane coming from left to right was then sometimes blocked by passing by vehicles and pedestrians. So this was the main conflict that we saw in this scene. The second picture shows the entrance to the parking garage, where we did the calculation for the volume capacity. So this is the intersection that we know that has capacity problems. So we have to implement a new lane for the left turns into the parking garage and onto the hospital area. The third picture shows the portal, which we just were thinking about, like, okay, let's push this roundabout a little bit further away from the entrance to generate some kind of plaza for the main entrance, that we don't have this like overlaying movements from cars and pedestrians right in front of the entrance. The fourth picture shows the task for the emergency vehicles, where we found out that we need 14 additional parking lots in the basement just to have really the capacity that they need. Like, of course, we know it was first day of lockdown and it was probably like a little bit more volume than normal, but I think it's better to have more capacity in this case than to have less, because in this case every second counts. And the fifth picture shows the decentralized logistic area, where we merged everything together from the other scenes that we had, how many trucks are coming to the area, and then we could build a scenario where we know that we have maximized 4 trucks heading parallel to the area. So this is also a part of for the architecture competition, that they know sorry, how many docking stations that we need for the trucks. And this was the scene for the public street where we sorry.
No problem, don't worry. Take a drink.
Where we only had 30% left of the normal traffic volume. So this was really interesting because of the impact of the lockdown. And this was our feasibility study for the new scenario. So this middle intersection is the scene with the bus stop. Here is the bus stop location and the entrance to the now logistic area. And this is the intersection where employees are going to the parking garage. So what we did is we wanted to let's say unravel the whole movement. So to create a more safe scenario for pedestrians and cyclists. So we decided to close this intersection and giving the bus stop a little bit more space, and the sidewalk is not interfered by passing by vehicles. So this was the first impact that we decided to do. Okay, let's cancel this intersection and create a whole new central intersection, because we already knew that we have a capacity problem here. So we needed to implement this lane for the left turns in any case. So if we just move the movements and the volume from this intersection to this point, it doesn't matter, because we already knew that we have to like install this new lane. So we can create a new central intersection to like get all the movements onto the area. And we like then made a cut here, and the whole new logistic area is taking at the east of the area and is organized in a one-way situation. So all the trucks are just entering from this side and exit from this new intersection on the east side of the area. So we don't have too much overlays of pedestrians and vehicle movements. So this was like the base for the architectural competition from our planning process for this new intersection in the north of the area. And this was like the second feasibility study that we did for the main entrance. So in this area, you have the portal entering the main building of the hospital. So in the existing scenario, the vehicles are moving like straight in front of the entrance. So what we did is like we just cut off this area and like let the cars moving a little bit farther to turn, not to go in front of the entrance. And this was like a new a parking lot for the children's hospital that they need. So this is just another small road in one-way direction, which we attached to the existing portal area here. And this is like the feasibility study for the basement, for the additional parking lots for the emergency vehicles. So this is the existing parking lot down in the basement. And we just did extension on the west side. And this is also organized in a one-way direction. And the emergency vehicles are entering from the ramp and going in one direction and exiting through the west side. So this was all done by us. And then in the next step, we had to like evaluate 5 projects that were like sent during the architectural competition, and the best project was selected by an company JVSD from Cologne. They are German architects, and their project was the winner's project, because they solved everything in the best way. For us was, of course, I only had to deal with the tasks of the traffic planning, but of course in this technical jury there was a lot of topics to cover, and they really had a lot of things to solve with this building. And was the main impact, they designed a building which is like for urban planning the best design output. So I just want to show you the intersection in the north, what they did, because they just created some kind of backyard for the logistic area. So this is the new intersection that we created. They just implemented it in their planning process, but then they like overbuilt it with the new building. So you move through the building, and they created this like backyard for the whole logistic movements. what was really special, because none of the other projects had such solution. So they really implemented our thoughts and our solution, and really integrated it into their architecture process. And yeah, it's some kind of symbiotic way to combine this. Like, of course, we have some kind of requesting from the traffic side, but also to merge it with the architectural needs and the design. And what was also a major impact is like this new entrance that they create, because here we have the bus stop. So in their project, you have another second like main entrance, what they generate at the north side of the area, which isn't there now. So they will like yeah, create the new space.
The complete remodel, basically.
Yeah.
So based on the data that you was able to collect with the GoodVision and present to the architecture team, this is what they basically decided to do, because originally it was kind of blocked up. You mentioned the entrance. The solution is if they actually architect the building properly, and they can then reopen this this entry point.
There were projects that they didn't go along with our idea of closing this intersection here. So there were also other solutions, but in the end, JVSD just did the best project.
And did you at any point have to show, or when you were talking to them, did you share and show the visualizations that you got from GoodVision, or how did that kind of conversation go with the architecture team? Because obviously, I guess they wanted to also visually see things that are happening. So was you able to show that to them?
This was like the whole architecture competition was anonymous. So this was just like I talked to them afterwards when they were already the winners project. So, but now we have we had a meeting today. So the project is now heading forwards, and I showed them the results and the screenshots from the survey. So they know what is going on, and we sent them the data over to them. So they just know the volumes on the sidewalk and all that stuff. So they can work with them too. But the real work is starting now. So we just have 2 meetings now where we were talking about these tasks. So in the process of the architecture competition, we just get these projects anonymized, so we don't even know from which office the project is, because this just takes place after the winner is announced.
Brilliant.
So this was the feedback that we got from our customer. So they were really happy with this new traffic concept, and that we can like use synergies and merged everything together and create a really safe scenario for the new extension. And the second block is just like what the jury said for the architectural project, because they really have this like really high architectural design quality and just fulfilled the requirements. They did just the best job of each project. And as I mentioned, we are now the project is still going on, or really starting now, because first we did feasibility, and now we are going to planning and construction. So the next steps will be creating a mobility concept for the whole hospital. So for the employees, patients, visitors, we have to deal with all the movements and chosen vehicles which they are approaching the hospital. And of course, now we are supporting the architecture team concerning the questions of traffic planning and draft curves and all that stuff that is going into construction now. So this is what are the next steps in the planning process, and what my next steps will be for using or still using GoodVision in this project is like we want to install our created environment for using the live traffic. So we will be really able to do long-term data collection and really improve our data set, not just to collect data for 1 or 2 days, just to really see seasonal trends and like do long-term monitoring to be even more precise in facing the planning process. For instance, like the emergency vehicles, we just monitored 1 day. So if we can see or collect data for weeks or even months there, we will be like more accurate how many parking lots we really need. So this will be, of course, also a major cost efficient impact that we can give on the planning process, because it makes a difference if we build 10 or 15 parking lots in the basement. So
yeah, so to be continued on that. So
yeah,
good. But as you mentioned with the live, the real time or live monitoring, there's also other aspects. I think we discussed it before that you could even have some triggers with the emergency vehicles having some triggered events or triggered notification, even with vehicles arriving or information from the intersection fed into traffic lights and so on to give priorities and things, or even start looking at queuing and what's going on the intersection for the hospital and the drivers to understand. So I know there's lots of also stuff to kind of to look at further and use with the GoodVision real-time monitoring. So I know this is the kind of future of how do you say, long-term monitoring through smart cities to help not just every now and then having a survey, because usually the survey is to cover a project or some specific what's happening. But I think now these days that everyone's looking at continued monitoring, continued data, because scenarios change as we all how do you say experience during COVID or during any kind of changes in the cities. You're able to actually adapt the traffic control or the traffic systems or the flow of traffic and the data that you get to do any kind of predictive or modeling or the simulations that you're mentioning. So it's a very exciting area that we're in now, and some of you have up on the call that might have had some POCs and tried our live monitoring. So if anyone's interested to discuss about live monitoring, you can get in contact with myself and be happy to give you more information. We've got there's a couple of questions, Gerhard, that I don't know if you can see them in the Q&A. I think they're really directed at you to kind of answer.
So different weather conditions.
Let's have a look. If you open the Q&A, there should be 2 questions.
Yeah. So
you can see.
The only thing that the data output in different weather conditions was always like we always achieve 95% with our setup. So it's not a big deal for us anymore. I just did a survey in January where a snowstorm was going on, and even under these conditions, the collected data was very accurate. The only thing is, of course, we need a little amount of light. So or just try an IP camera with AR lighting for really dark scenes, but
Exactly. This is one thing usually people we need to kind of maybe set straight is that it's not the software an accuracy issue or kind of how do you say problem. It's with everything with the hardware or the camera quality, the
yeah,
clarity, the conditions, because where GoodVision doesn't actually enhance anything in the sense of seeing through walls and all this kind of stuff, not yet anyway, but we can what the system sees, it monitors. So
yeah,
you can imagine if you're still doing a recording and someone's manually watching this and there's a snowstorm, you're also going to get reduced accuracy from that counter. So being with using software or AI and machine learning, there is more consistency. So when there is certain conditions, if you're still able to visibly see the vehicles, the system will see that as well. We have I would say that the outcomes and accuracy can be dependent on the client's hardware. So if you're using a really cheap camera and it's very pixelated, it's not very good quality, then it's very hard for the system to work. But if you have a clear image and clear clarity, you can pick up the visibility. We don't need for GoodVision to work the 720 say pixels or 720 resolution and 30 frames per second is round about what we need to start accurately detecting vehicles. As you go, you don't even have to go up higher, but if you go up to 1080p, of course, it helps with clarity for the resolution and how close the object is. But the main thing is with all these type of accuracy questions, is that anyone can try this themselves at no cost with your own footage. So if anyone on the call has some footage that you want to test and see how good the system performs on, we can give you that kind of gauge. And as Gerhard said, on his setup and his equipment that he uses, he's able to get for around about 95%, maybe upwards in accuracy from the results that he's used. So it is varying on all users, but definitely if you've got the parameters set correctly, you'll achieve around about these 95 and upwards on accuracy. I know some users on here have actually get higher accuracy. So I know that a lot of them, it really depends on your setup. I think there's another question underneath, Gerhard. I don't know if you...
The post-process data and how it was done. So we just use the create traffic reports out of the Video Insight platform. And then we just do it in Excel by ourselves or just visualize data by ourselves. But we take like the raw output always as the traffic export in Excel format, and then we work we go on with this account. But you don't have any it's not a regular post-production that you have to do if you don't need any specific data output or something like that, because you get the movements that you create in the platform, you get the data straight out of it. So you choose the intervals, the movements, the classification. So you can just collect the data out of the Insight. What we always do is like we just implement it for our Austrian standards. So we do some recalculation and have our own our own presentation where we put the TMC reports.
Brilliant. I've got a question from my point of view, without mentioning names in the industry and different kind of competitors and so on. For a question from myself is, how do when you were looking at different kind of software options and different kind of companies, which I know you've used multiple kind of services before, how is it that, GoodVision vary from some of these? So, what would you say is maybe one of our key factors from GoodVision itself compared to some of the others that you've tried? And how many of these do you really see on the market? Because a lot of people say there's lots of detection companies like on the market, but I think myself, I can name, a handful of companies that really specify in true data collection and, trajectories and so on. A lot of other companies are just the kind of detection than actually giving you the data. So maybe from a client point of perspective and your experience, could you shed some light on that? From your experience, without mentioning the names. I don't want to get in trouble.
We don't have to talk about names. The most important thing for me was like the support that I got from the first minute. So I know you're a good family now for 3 years, 4 years almost. So the GoodVision family always was very supportive and was very, like, I don't know how to say, always fast answering and just helping me out with the first steps. And then it was like more cooperation and always like sharing some ideas and how to go along with this topic and just sharing experiences and helping each other out. And that was very impressive for me because the other solutions that I looked for was I don't want to compare the output, because everyone has its own core, what they are working for, but the whole environment what GoodVision is offering was for me the best solution straight out of the box. So I didn't really.
So do you think it give you a bit more freedom in the data extraction part?
Yeah, it's more. It's for me. It's what was really interesting is like the platform is some kind of organic environment, so you can really use it as a tool and make something out of it for yourself. So it's not a product, a fixed product that is just, of course we collect data, but you can do so much more with it, and you have all these API possibilities and just ways to implement it into other systems and go along with the data. So that's the most interesting part for me.
Yeah, because I think as well that sometimes the feedback that I get is that some other kind of platforms give you either a fixed or a non-reusable way of data. So you request the data you need, or you're inputting the data you need, and when you get that data, that's a set piece of data. If you would like to maybe change or adapt it, it's kind of another request. And the thing that with GoodVision, as you kind of mentioned through the presentation, is it's reusable. But if you're looking at something now, you can look at something later, and there's no impact or anything stopping you from doing that. There's no extra cost in the sense of processing the video because it's already there. So all you need to do is re-log in, and now maybe someone's asked you to do another kind of survey on a different part of that intersection. You can easily do that yourself because you're giving you the freedom. And that's kind of the most distinguishing thing, I think, to highlight sometimes with our products, is that it's a suite enabling engineers as a tool set like yourself to have that freedom and actually pinpoint and take the data they need. Sometimes, as you said as well, through the presentation, you've discovered things that necessarily you wouldn't have picked up or you couldn't have picked up manually. And you're able to dig into that. So you're getting even extra information. I had from one of my clients that when they were providing the vanilla, data, they were actually able to add a lot more layers of how do you say, tasters to their clients, because they could actually show them other information that help them capture more business, because they could pinpoint, you know, some interesting information that would then, how do you say, attract the clients to come to them even further, because they didn't even request this bit of information, but you can easily get it from the system, which helps you identify these points. So it's good to hear.
As you mentioned in the project, it's often back and forth. So if you can just go back into your scene and maybe extract some another data or movements that you just didn't think about it at the beginning, it's there. Yeah, you just need to set up the scene, create the movements, create the report, and you get the data out of it. So it's very flexible.
Brilliant. So we haven't got any more questions in a minute. We've come to the end. So thank you everyone for attending. If anyone does have any questions, you can ask them now. We're happy to answer them. I know I'm a bit sensitive on time. We're 5 minutes over already. So if you do have any questions, send them to us anyway. We'll answer them even after the webinar. As I said, if anyone would like to try GoodVision, you can go to our website to click on the trial, 14 days trial of the system. You can talk to our support staff, as Gerhard mentioned. We have very supportive support staff that can help you understand the system and the next steps of how to use the system, so you'll never be left alone with it. And once you're up and running, you'll be able to process your own videos and get your own data if required. So the only thing is to thank Gerhard. Thank you very much for joining and sharing your project. You're welcome. If anyone on the webinar, maybe you have some interesting projects and you've used GoodVision. So if you've got any projects you want to share your experience, please get in contact with us, and we'll be happy to showcase and share your experience as Gerhard has, and let everyone see how the system works, and speak to the engineers and give them any inputs. If you've got any more questions, as I said, to me or Gerhard, we'd be happy to answer them and give you any kind of information you might require. So other than that, thank you very much for everyone's attendance. Have a great rest of the week.
Bye.
Bye.